I'm going to take the 49ers in a very close ball game. I think both teams have very good offenses, very good defenses. I'll give the slight edge to Dak at the quarterback position.
A slight?
Slight edge. I don't think he'll play as well on Sunday as he played on Monday night. And I think the 49ers skill position players are a little better. When you do the totality of Debo, Ayuk, Jennings, Kittle, McCaffrey, I think that group is a little better than the Cowboys group. I think the offensive lines are a push. I think the defenses are a push. Both have outstanding young players. You look at Fred Warner, who's a little older player, but he's still in his prime. You look at Diggs, you look at Parsons, you look at Bosa. So, Skip, I think the defenses are probably a push. I think the slight edge to Dak in the quarterback position, although Purdy, over the last 5 to 6 games, have played better than Dak in the totality. But I do think Dak is a better, given his body of work, think he's a little better quarterback. So I think it's going to be a very, very close ball game. I like the matchup, Kyle Shanahan, Dan Quinn. Kyle was the offensive coordinator under Dan Quinn in Atlanta. They did have some success. They went to a Super Bowl. They did blow a 28-3 lead. Kyle knows him. Dan Quinn knows Kyle. So it's going to come down on that particular day. Who can come up with the one play or the one defense or the one offensive set that the other party hadn't seen and been able to exploit that and make the one big play. So I took the 49ers in a very, very close ball game. I say 23-20, 49ers prevail and move on to the NFC Championship.
23-20.
Yes.
By the way, quick comment before I launch on this.
Okay.
I just saw that video, which I hadn't seen before. You realize that's Charles Haley dapping up Mike McCarthy? I never thought I'd see the day.
Oh, I didn't see.
I think it was.
That's
Charles Haley. That's my man.
Yeah.
That's Charles Haley. Yeah. 5 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's him.
What? What are you doing, Charles? Well, I guess he's blessing him somehow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Haley was the ultimate winner to me.
Oh, he was. Yeah, he was a hell of a player. He wasn't just a winner. He changed the dynamic in the NFC for a minute.
All right. Speaking of Charles Haley, acquired by Jerry Jones out of nowhere just before the season started in 1992, who was the catalyst and difference maker that turned a 2-young Cowboy team into a Super Bowl champion.
Right.
I'm about to tell you why my Dallas Cowboys are going to win this game at San Francisco just the way his team won at San Francisco back at the end of the 92 season by the very same score, 30-20. Those Cowboys broke through when nobody saw it coming. They went out and they beat Steve Young and Jerry Rice at their own game. They outscored them 30-20. This was at Candlestick, obviously, as opposed to Levi. But it was still at San Francisco. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody believed the Cowboys could beat the juggernaut that was the 49ers. And they shocked the NFL world that day, 30-20 on the way to a Super Bowl that they would win easily because Jimmy just announced to the team the first day they came back, we are going to beat the Buffalo Bills because it's a done deal because we're just better than they are.
Right.
Okay, well, it's possible if the Giants beat the Eagles, which I think is highly possible, we're about to talk about that in just a moment, that my Cowboys would then go on to an NFC Championship game at home over a team that they should beat to get to a Super Bowl against probably another team they shouldn't beat. But that remains to be seen. Here's the point about my Cowboys. All year long, I have told you again and again and again, this team is different because this team has legit firepower and star power. And I told you it flexed its firepower again and again, sort of early in the season into the middle of the season, because I'm going to remind you of 40-3 at Minnesota. I'm going to remind you of 33-0 in the fourth quarter, albeit against the Colts, but 33-0 is firepower. I'm going to remind you 40 points they hung on the Eagles defense, albeit against Gardner Minshew as the opposing quarterback, but still, he didn't play defense, and that day they scored 40 on the Eagles defense. And I'm going to remind you that my team did beat Cincinnati and did beat the Giants twice, and those are all very impressive, but my team took foot off gas down the stretch, and it was pathetic to watch, it was horrifying to watch, and it gave me pause. Until CD kept saying, no, watch, we're going to flip the switch. Well, did they ever on Monday night? They flipped it.
Against a bad team?
Okay, I give you that. But that guy who plays quarterback for the other team is something, he's a force to be reckoned with in games like this. And we attacked him right out of the box, and we destroyed him. And we destroyed his team just the way I told you. The first words out of my mouth were, we did what we should have done. But how many times has my team not done what it should have done? How many times have they done cowboy things, as you say? How many times have they played down to the level of the competition? This was Monday Night Football against a quarterback who was 7-0 against them, a team that had not won a road playoff game in 30 freaking years. Think about that. In 30 years, wearing the navy blue jerseys in which they had never, ever won a road playoff game because they are jinxed. And trust me, I lived through the early parts of that jinx. All of that working against them all the way down to they were 1-4 this year on grass because they can't rush the passer on grass the way they can on turf. And what happened, Mr. Sharpe? A tour de force happened. It was flexing Super Bowl firepower on Monday Night Football for all the world to see, and maybe Cowboy Nation overreacted. Maybe the whole nation overreacted, but I don't think so. I think you saw what you saw, and I think you came in the next day saying, man, I don't know. That looked pretty great to me, right?
They did that against a bad team, but if they can play that way, the way they attack the quarterback and the way they move the ball against a good, they still have an excellent chance. But I'd like to think that the 49ers are a better team, because we saw the 49ers do a demolition job that was more severe than what the Cowboys did on the Monday night.
They're a juggernaut. They are a juggernaut. They are loaded. And I will give you, if you start breaking it down position by position, you say, oh, God, the 49ers this and the 49ers that. Dak Prescott, you have said, has been middle-of-the-pack Dak for most of his career. He is now at the end of his 7th season in this league. And you keep saying body of work. What does it tell you? It tells you he's a little above average, right? He had the game of his life at GOAT on Monday night. It felt like, weirdly, he came of age late in his career. Like at the end of year 7, he did what Matt Stafford did last year. I'm going to remind you, Matt Stafford a year ago was at the end of year 13. Think about that, 13. Where had he been all those years? He'd been lost in Detroit. What had he been in Detroit? A turnover machine. He could spin it. He could wing it. He had a sensational arm. In fact, some people thought he had the best arm in all of pro football, including Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and all their arms. And yet what happened last year? I don't know. The little light went off in the back of the psyche. Maybe thanks to Sean McVay putting him in his comfort zone. And all of a sudden, Matt Stafford did lead the league in interceptions last year. So did our guy, right? Tied for the lead. And had 15 in only 12 games. Pretty horrifying. Bad signs everywhere. But all of a sudden, Matt Stafford in the playoffs took off last year and played just cleanly enough, albeit throwing the potential interception to Tart that hit him right in the hands. He's no longer 49.
All they had to do was catch it.
All they had to do is catch it. He's no longer 49. Dak played not only the game of his life, but he played the kind of game that can launch a quarterback through the tournament, right? And I love that about it, and I'm going to cling to that, and I'm going to believe that he will play close to that. He had a QBR of 97 in that game. For those who know 0 to 100, it's just off the charts great.
If you think about it, Skip, if you look at the difference in the game on Monday night, when Tom Brady made that mistake, Curse could have easily dropped it. Now you get another opportunity.
I agree.
But they made him pay the ultimate price. Well, Tart, you mentioned in the championship game, he didn't make Stafford pay the ultimate price, because if he makes that pick, it's over. The game's over. There's no more time to go. And so now all of a sudden the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl instead of the Rams.
I got it. You're right. And if Brady gets like one more ounce on the ball and it barely is off his fingertips out of bounds off the end line, okay, we might be having a different conversation, because they were about to go up 7-6 because of, I'm going to get to my kicker in just a minute. Hope he doesn't kick me right in the stomach. But the point is, I've told you this all along. In the biggest of games, I like my team a little better on the road than at home. The home scares me because it's Jerry world. It's Jerry's palace. It belongs to Jerry more than the team. It belongs to the world more than the Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't have a great home field advantage feeling to me. It's not like a place, we dread going there, because nobody dreads going there, because everybody goes there to play college championship games and Final Fours and fights and concerts, right? They have it all there.
They do.
So it's the world stage, and it's not really theirs. And it will scare me a little bit if they do wind up playing a home playoff game for the NFC Championship game. But I'm ahead of myself. I'm just telling you, I'm very content this game is at San Francisco because that game was at Tampa.
Right.
And we went down there and didn't bat an eye.
Right.
And this game is at a place where we have a long history of playing very well. I know we lost the catch game there, but we won this game in 1992.
Right.
And we've won other big games there. My point is, I don't dread this at all. In fact, I look forward to the opportunity to go to play them at their place. All right. Now, here's my biggest points to you. A year ago, in the first round of the playoffs, this team, with Jimmy G at quarterback, came to my place. And my team was not ready to play because my coach is the opposite of a motivator. Lately, he's not been getting in the way, and they've been motivating themselves. They need external motivation. They need pressure. They need fear factor of, oh, my God, we're on Monday Night Football. We might get embarrassed by the GOAT who's 7-0 against us. That's what motivates my team. This is an oh, my God game. We're going to San Francisco. They've won, what's in a row? I've lost track. Are they 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've won 11 straight games, and they got, you talk about firepower, they got it, to your points, they have it everywhere except quarterback, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But last year it was Garoppolo, who has a history of playing pretty big in big games. Well, he played pretty well in this game. But here's who didn't play well. Everybody I needed to play well did not. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the blueprint here, the metallic blueprint for how you go beat San Francisco at San Francisco. What happened against San Francisco a year ago? Well, I look up and we're down 23-7. What? We didn't show up. We went into the fourth quarter. Heck, with 9 minutes left in the game, we were still down 23-7. And we managed to fight back to, what was it, 23-16. 16, yeah, 16 it ended. Okay. But here's what happened. As usual, they tried to blast Zeke up the middle. So he tries 12 times and gets a grand total of 31 yards. If they keep trying to do that, we're going to lose this game because the star has emerged, and that is Tony Pollard. And I told you yesterday, and we can fight about this, and we'll see because the proof will be in the pudding on Sunday. But I believe that Tony Pollard is a little better than Christian McCaffrey just because he's a little more explosive, because he's a little bit faster. So what did he do last year? Help me out. He was non-existent in the offense. He got four carries for 14 yards. Well, you can't do that or you're going to lose. Mm-hmm. And he caught, where is Tony Pollard? He caught 2 balls for a grand total of 12 yards. You can't do that or you're going to lose. What happened to CeeDee Lamb last year? Well, if you can explain this to me, you're way ahead of me because they threw him 5 balls, but they only got him 1 catch. It did go for 21 yards, but that's it. He got 1 ball for 21 yards in that game last year. Okay, but the point is, Dalton Schultz, mm-hmm. He's the security blanket. He did what he usually does. He caught 7 balls for 89 yards, so that was good, but that's when in doubt, Dak just goes to 86, right? Yes. Okay, so then Micah, 11 from heaven. What did he do in this game last year? Again, he was a raw rookie, but it was his first playoff game. He did have 9 tackles, I'll give him that, but he had 0 sacks, 0 pressures, 0 hits on the quarterback.
Right.
Okay, you're going to lose, right? That's it for me.
As long as he's not tackling the quarterback or the running back in the backfield, we're fine. He can have 20 tackles.
You can have it.
As long as they down the field.
I agree. Dak's QBR for this game was 32. So 97 at Tampa, right. 32 in this game. What's going to happen? You're going to be behind 23-7 because your stars didn't star. Nobody flexed. Nobody. There's nothing in here that shows you that anybody I needed to rise and shine this Sunday rose and shone last year. None of them did. And yet it still came down to a late, you can call it empty calorie rally. You can call it a garbage time rally. But all of a sudden, Dak just sort of heaved a sigh and started heaving footballs to the right people at the right time. And here they came. And you remember how it ended. Dak took off on a 17-yard run. If we could please see this. He goes for 17 up the middle, but you got to get down faster because it's tick, 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 tick. And they just, I'm not going to blast the poor, what was he, the head linesman?
No, he's the umpire.
Umpire. He's the umpire. The ball. Yeah, he just couldn't get there. And Dak just ran too far. He ran about 5 yards too far. That's the problem. And he couldn't get through the offensive lineman. And we didn't get the snap off. So we got the ball down to the 24, and you could have had a mini Hail Mary heave to win the game. You could have a good throw in the end zone. That's what I'm saying. You would have a shot. that the umpire can't quite get through to get set. And it was very close. It was like a split second that they couldn't get it snapped, but they didn't get it snapped. So he didn't get the one throw that could have, and I told you the next day, that would have been a stolen game. You would have stole that because you didn't deserve to win it because of the numbers I just gave you. Okay, so Tony Pollard has to be put in the position to be a star. CeeDee Lamb has to be put in the position to be a star. Remember, big targets last year went to Amari Cooper, 10 targets, and Cedric Wilson got 10 targets. Well, they're gone, obviously. So now it has to be CD and Dalton Schultz and T.Y. Hilton. I've called him a godsend. Maybe I overstated it. Maybe I put too much pressure on him. But he's made 4 Pro Bowls. Dak already trusts him because you know and I know he's going to be where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there.
But I think the biggest thing is, Skip, is that what Kyle Shanahan will do, he does a great job of putting – Trayvon Diggs doesn't like to tackle. Well, that's going to be a problem when you got Debo. That's going to be a problem when you play the 49ers because what do, Skip? They're so good run after the catch. Every last one of their receivers is outstanding at run after the catch. Debo might be one of the top 2 or 3 with run after the catch.
All right.
You look at the running game, the way they do it schematically. They put a lot of people in space. They do a lot of movement, and they're not afraid to hand the ball to Debo, Ayuk, Jennings. It does not matter.
I agree.
They'll even run the tight end around. They'll hand the ball to Kittle. Kittle is an extra offensive lineman when he's not going out for a pass. He's outstanding. Check. It's unbelievable at blocking.
He is.
And so now, what do? They're going to try to they're going to move Michael Parsons up and down the line. But I know one place he's not going to stop is on the right, the defensive right side, the offensive left side, and that's Big Trent.
Although he said 2 days ago, I welcome the challenge.
I'm sure Trent. That's why Trent's the highest paid offensive lineman in football, is because his job is to neutralize whoever that it may be it Myles Garrett, be it Khalil Mack, be it Michael Parsons. So I think the thing is, Skip, how does Dan Quinn, what does he do to neutralize what Cal is trying to do, which is to get his playmakers in space, knowing that some of his guys are not outstanding tacklers or do not want to tackle in certain situations. So that's going to be the key. You better get them down, Skip. When they catch the ball for 6 yards, it better be 6 yards and not 16.
All right. Last year at Jerry World, they rushed for 169 yards to our 77. They more than doubled our rush total. You're going to lose if that happens again. That's the formula for disaster, is that getting doubled in rush yards. And some of them are run after contact yards because they're hard to get on the ground. Last year, the turnovers were 1-to-1 on an interception by each quarterback. Well, you can live with that, okay? But the time of possession last year was 34 minutes for Jimmy G's offense to 26 minutes for Dak's. You're going to lose. You have to flip that script. We have to control the ball 34 minutes if you want to do it by possession passes, converting on third down, a lot of Tony Pollard, maybe a little bit of Zeke here and there to convert third downs. You have to keep the ball away from them because they are too explosive.
Well, third down conversion is going to be key. I think that's going to be the biggest key in the game, Skip. You look who has the 50%, or close to the 50% or higher, that's who's going to win the game, because now you keep the opposing team's offense off the field. Because I think the thing is, you don't want either offense to get into a rhythm because they can get on the roll on you and go get you 35. Because we saw what the Cowboys did, and we saw what the 49ers did against Seattle once they got going, Skip. They just, boom. The game was still like Seattle had a lead, and the next thing you know, boom, 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 and it's 41-17 at one point.
I got it. Now to the biggest X factor in this game for me. As beautifully, brilliantly as he's played so far, Brock Purdy is still the last pick in the draft, and he's still playing in his first year. And he's played 6 games, and he's 6-0, and he's been Joe Montana Jr., but he's only played 6 games. And as Micah keeps saying all week, he hasn't seen us yet. And I love that because that's the God's truth. He hasn't seen this defense, and he hasn't felt this kind of heat, because they will bring some heat and maybe some pain to him that he has not experienced. And what I've told you, I watched him for 4 years at Iowa State. He's not careful. He's a gunslinger. And it's a scary combination to have a rookie gunslinger. He's not a game manager. He doesn't know how to manage a game because it's not in his DNA to manage. It's in his DNA to be cocky, have some swag, and to fling it. And sometimes it's a pass and a prayer, and he's going to throw you 2 or 3 that you could catch if you're ready to. It's almost like the old Brett Favre syndrome, but he's not obviously Brett Favre. But that's how he plays football. And Kyle and John Lynch have encouraged that just go because they say he's unfazed. Well, yeah, he's unfazed until he gets phased.
Right.
And then if he throws it to you 2 or 3 times, let's see how phased he starts to look.
I think the thing is, Skip, the comparable offense that I can see, but I think this offense is a little better, is Jacksonville. And you see how Jacksonville, once they got their rhythm, they went up and down the field on your team.
Yep.
Now, obviously, the quarterback is a lot different, but you look at the skill position. You look at ATN, the success he had. Now you got Christian McCaffrey. You look at those receivers. Zay Jones had a monster day against him. Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. That's a very similar as far as weaponry. Now, I think obviously the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. But you see, once they got their rhythm, they went up and down the field on your team because you had a 27-10 lead.
We did.
And they went and got you.
But I'm hanging on to the 27-10 because that was Super Bowl-style firepower against a good team at their place.
But you do realize how how did they end up coming back if you got a Super Bowl team? Your defense.
Okay.
They went and got what, 20 points against your defense.
Right. But my defense led the NFL in takeaways, and I believe it will take it away.
Okay.
I believe that Brock Purdy is good for at least 2 turnovers, and I believe my defense is good for 3. I believe Dak's offense is good for only 1 turnover. I think he'll play a relatively clean. I'll give Dak 1 interception.
Oh, that's it?
Okay, 3-1.
Yeah, that's it, huh?
That's the formula.
That's it.
3-1.
Now, your guy was pretty
30-20.
Your guy was pretty high up on that turnover meter also.
He was until Monday night.
Yeah,
right?
Okay. That's
we just took off.
Is that an aberration? Because I saw 7 straight games where he had at least 1.
Nope. This is going to be a trend through this tournament.
Okay.
And by the way, my kicker obviously did kick me in the.
Talk about that.
They said that yesterday he became Money Maher again and started nailing kicks. Again, nobody's
In
out
practice?
there. It's practice.
There you go again with practice. Remember that walkthrough y'all had?
No.
You remember that walkthrough?
Okay, but they said he did get it back a little bit, and I'm going to trust that, and I don't want to see Tristan Vizcaíno in the game on Sunday at San Francisco. I still don't know why he was added. Listen, Money Maher didn't have a good year. He had a great year.
Yeah.
I believe he will get it back, and I believe he will be dependable enough to make extra points and a couple of field goals because we will need them, but we will slowly but surely show you we're just that good. I think my team is still being underrated and underestimated. That's what I believe, and I think you will come in here Monday and tell me, you know what? Once again, you were right. That's what you'll tell me on Monday.
And then when you lose, you go blame Mike McCarthy. You go ask for Jerry to
well, it depends how I lose.
Nah, it don't depend. Lose.
I don't even want to talk about it because it's not going to happen.
It is going to happen.
We got this. I guarantee it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Monday morning is going to be an awful lot of fun for 2 of us and absolutely miserable for 1 of us. I agree. Can Purdy keep his poise and which defense gets takeaways? I think that's what this game comes down to. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Subscribe here to get the very latest from Skip and Shannon. Plus, go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.